Have you ever felt emotionally stuck or numb in your relationships? People who describe that feeling really resonate with the emotional safety zone discussion. In the emotional safety zone, we are represented as the person in the middle. And you can see these boundaries of the emotional safety zone right above us and right beneath us. Anything to the top of the page above the emotional safety zone represents hopes, expectations, joy, all good things. And anything below the emotional safety zone represents things that aren't so good: fear, pain, despair, and disappointment. As we get to know people, typically our acquaintances are going to stay in this emotional safety zone. But the key people in our life, we are going to explore our vulnerability with. And when we explore our vulnerability, we have the potential to have incredible, wonderful feelings of hope, expectations, and joy, with the potential to be matched on the flip side of disappointment, despair, and things that aren't so great. In a dating situation, this process would start by initially meeting the person. And as we start to become more interested in them, step by step, we build up until we've just reached this highest hopes and expectations. At that point, it's likely that we're either in a committed relationship or looking towards marriage with that individual. Say that we do get married to that person. Along the way, probably even before the wedding, we've more than likely experienced some hiccups as well, some disappointments and some frustrations. If in that marriage we experience the bottom dropout places of despair with that individual, then it means we're in awe, in negative awe of wondering, should we have stayed in this relationship? Did everything I think this was about, am I totally wrong? Is it just so upside down? Is it ever going to be the same? And there's always the potential to forgive and move forward and to build it back up here once again. But after that happens, after we've been dropped down to this really low place, a lot of times we're going to be hesitant to go to the tippity top the next time. And we start to dial it in so we don't quite be hurt to the level we were hurt before. And then the next time we only take it to this point, and we're only hurt to this point. And we just start to adjust what level we're going to put ourselves out there. And in those situations, even in that key married relationship, we can find ourselves stuck in the emotional safety zone with the very person that we should be the most vulnerable with. We can find ourselves numb, stuck, frozen. Now, the events that may have caused the despair and the frustration may have been really big things, difficult things to move past. There's also the possibility that it was the day-to-day mundane life of just not paying attention to each other anymore that has started to bring this into this stale emotional safety zone. And there's lots of potential to work through this and to get ourselves back onto the vulnerability piece and moving towards hopes and expectations and joy. Sometimes this becomes a challenge not because of the relationship we are currently in, but because of previous relationships where there has been a lot of roller coasting back and forth, where we've become so accustomed to being disappointed that even in our newer relationships, we just are on the edge expecting it to fail. And in those situations, whether you are the one that has had these negative interactions in the past, or if you're the one trying to be in a relationship with someone who's had those in the past, then you might have to know it's not your fault. But if you're interested in having a relationship with that individual, it is your problem. And you're going to have to be patient and work through that to figure out, to guide them and helping them know that they can come out of their emotional safety zone to explore the confidence and trust that you plan to have with them in that relationship. This can happen with things we have total charge over, relationships where it was our choices or the choices of the others that have us flip-flopping. This can also happen with tragedy. death and despair and things that were completely out of our choice, things that we did not choose. People who are hoping to adopt and put all these hopes and expectations only to be disappointed time and time again will sometimes reel it in order to protect themselves. Losing a child, again, something we would have never expected, and it might have us reeling this in. Being in the emotional safety zone with acquaintances and people who really haven't earned our trust, or who there's not tremendous value in building us, a lot of vulnerability with them, that makes sense. It also makes sense during some of these difficult times to go ahead and allow ourselves some time in this emotional safety zone as we heal and try to move forward in healthier ways. But at some point, we need to be able to comfortably start to explore this vulnerability. By limiting our pain, we are absolutely limiting our joy. And so this idea that we've got to get comfortable outside of our emotional safety zone becomes a reality if we want to really feel things in a profound way, where those relationships will really evolve into everything that we would want them to be. So if you have found yourself emotionally stuck, numb, frozen, go ahead and use that as an opportunity to have some introspection and kind of explore what that may have meant for you, how you ended up there. And then we can start to think of ways to put ourselves out there once again, especially in those key relationships where we want to trust and where we recognize that vulnerability is not a weakness. It's really the only way that we are going to experience the ultimate pleasures in life, even though they will often be accompanied with some of those pains.